Hi there. So I think it's a time to discuss regarding on the workflow and creating music about linear creation and non-linear creation mode. And why is that? No, well, Studio One 7 came out, and one of the main features of it was an ability to create music in a non-linear fashion. This was, in my eyes and in my thinking, first introduced by Ableton Live, and it seems that now pretty many are supporting this functionality in different digital audio workstations. So let's look into that, what means to create music linearly and non-linearly, and how different digital audio workstations work with those two different modes. Let's get going. Okay, so let's start with Ableton Live, because I think everything has started from there. And in Ableton Live, you actually have had this, in my eyes, the longest. So when it comes to nonlinear creation, it's basically the session view, what you have in Ableton Live, where you are able to launch different clips in different order and create different type of combinations of loops. So it all boils down into a kind of starting from the fractions of the song and then making an arrangement out of that. And in Ableton Live, you have had that, in my eyes, the longest. So this way you are able to basically create different type of combinations of, like, I would basically like to not use this type of a drum, but I would actually use this drum. So I'll start with that one. So I'll go like this. So I only have drums. Then maybe I want to have some bass added into it. Or then I might actually want to see that, okay, how does the chords actually work with this one? And then here you can actually go and click and say that captures scene and insert, like capture and insert scene. So now it will create me a new scene in Ableton Live with the clips that are playing. Then I might want to add some, melody into the next one, and then I can again, do that, and I have the second scene. And then what I can do out of these scenes is that then eventually I could actually record these in an arrangement. But this is basically the non-linear way of working. So I can go and not in a linear fashion, but I can just go freely and start any clip that I would like to use. I would like to bring maybe the melody over here. So I can test out different type of variations and play around with the components of the song, like the bass, the drums, and so on and so forth, without actually building that into an arrangement. But then, and this is the linear mode. This is the non-linear mode. And then the linear mode is here when you change the view into the arrangement view, and this is basically what most of the DAWs have had like since day one. So you work in a linear fashion, and mainly because it firstly supported recording, and you do the recording with the linear fashion. You play drums and you play guitar and whatever instruments you have, and you record everything linearly. So, and that means in time. So you do things in time. Whereas non-linear means that you're not doing it in time. You are just building the fractions, and then you kind of combine that together to become a song. So in Ableton Live, of course, you have also this one. So whereas you then basically have ability to kind of have the arrangement view, and what I like to do is that I usually do the ideation in a non-linear way. So I do the thing here in a session view and ideate with different type of chords and melodies and whatnot. And then when I'm happy with that, I will record that into the arrangement, and then the final thing and tuning and the things I actually do then in an arrangement view. So this is basically the way of working, and many work in a linear fashion, and that's totally fine. But also many work in a non-linear fashion, and that's also totally fine. Now we have a new digital audio workstation added into the category of non-linear creation. So we will go through the different digital audio workstations and how they support this workflow compared and what we have in Ableton Live. So let's continue with Pro Tools and see how Pro Tools has been geared for this. Okay, so let's look into Pro Tools, and as you know, most of okay, so in Pro Tools they just recently also, I think it was last year though, they introduced Sketch, which is, as it says, Sketch window is a non-linear clip-based creation environment. So this is a new addition to Pro Tools, as the Pro Tools has been traditionally been used for recording and mixing and mastering, and in basically all the studios. However, they are now also they have introduced the non-linear way for people who are not recording but are using clips and 8 bars or 4 bars or whatever bars loop in order to create the components of your song and then finalizing it in an arrangement view. So this is basically what you have here as well. So let's just do kind of a test here that we create a sketch, which is the non-linear way of doing things in Pro Tools, and it has certain capabilities, and it provides you a good way to start of creating things in a non-linear way. You can basically see that, you know, what is this instrument. You can select the instrument into this and work on your way with different type of clips and record things, and once you are done, you can basically then say that here is the arrangement that you kind of start to drop things into it. So here basically you can go and do also some basic mixing, but here you have basically the instrument that you have, but you can also of course have a drum kit or some bongos or whatever. So you can go and define all these tracks and define the name for these, that you know what are you actually using, let's do just some dummy things to just show around a bit of this tool. And of course you can go and create a clip for this one as well and do some bongos over there and then launch the clip to play it and so on and so forth. You can also bring in audio files into it, so you can create the kind of the non-linear components of your song using instruments that are provided. Currently you can't actually yet bring in other than play cell and synth cell. So those are the two instruments that you can use. So you can't really use yet third-party instruments in here. So the only thing what you can do is you can use instruments from play cell and synth cell, and then of course you can bring in audio clips. And then once you are basically done with that one, you can then go and kind of like construct your scenes into an arrangement. So you could basically say that, okay, I want to duplicate this in here, and then this plays only that part, so you will bring in the scene 2. Then now I could play this in arrangement view, saying that okay, let's stop playing and let's then, you know, take this arrangement and export the arrangement and take it into the Pro Tools. So you can basically go and export the arrangement and then take that into Pro Tools and continue from there. So as said, this is the non-linear way of working with things and creating ideas in Pro Tools. It's there. It's not on the same level as in Ableton Live, but I'm sure they are developing this to the same level that, you know, you can bring any instrument, or you could even record as you can here. So that eventually it will be similar to what basically you have in Ableton Live. And so here you have a session view that is the traditional arrangement based, and then and linear that everyone knows, and then you have this non-linear way of creating things. Okay, let's move on and let's look next on Logic Pro. Alrighty, so we are end of the part 1 of non-linear and linear creation of music. Remember to subscribe for my channel, like my videos. It's important that you like to support my doings. And thanks for watching. See you next week with the part 2.